Good morning and welcome back. Welcome back if you were with us on session 1 this morning, and hello and welcome if you have just joined us for this session 2, digital transformation and pay, rethinking payday, to do right by your employees. Big title there and a few things to unpack, and I'll be delighted to introduce our guest in just a moment. There is a line right in the middle of my face, as you can see at the moment, because it's very sunny finally here in London. So I'll kind of lean one way or the other. Yeah, I've got a blind pulled to try and shield myself from the sun as much as it's welcome. So apologies for the line down the middle. I'm Darren. I'll be having a cozy fireside chat, as they're called, with this lovely lady on the screen with me, and I'll ask her to introduce herself in just a moment. Don't forget those dates we talked about in our previous session. So the retail conference next year is on the 14th of November 2023 in central London. Thanks again to those of you that made it through all of the travel chaos last week and attended in person at America Square. It was great to see you. And a reminder also for those all-important People in Retail Awards, which are coming your way next year. The actual awards evening is on the 21st of September, but nominations for each category open on the 1st of February, and it's all about the people. Individual stars, as well as organisations that really do put people front and centre. Right. Without further ado, let me introduce my colleague on the screen. This is Sarah from Ceridian. Please introduce yourself, Sarah.
Thank you, Darren. Sarah Poynter. Been with Ceridian overall around 14 years. I'm the account executive working across EMEA and focusing on retail. So,
you are very welcome. Where are you today?
I'm in London today.
Are you in London as well? Cool. Well, you've got this very welcome sunshine finally after a cataclysmic start to the day in torrential rain. Yes. I had a very wet, upset dog, and she's still sulking about a few hours later. So Scamp is around for those regulars of the Retail Bulletin. She's in the background, so you know that she sometimes makes an unexpected bark or an unexpected appearance. But yeah, just be warned that she is lurking somewhere in the background whilst drying off this morning.
Darren, it would be a Zoom, would it, without a dog in the background?
Exactly. you know what? Since we had the pandemic and this virtual world became normality, everybody's welcome. So if we get interruptions on screen, it's all good. I always think of that classic video with the guy's kids running in the room that went kind of viral and was watched by like 1 billion people. So yeah, we can cope with all interruptions here at the Retail Bulletin. Yeah. So remember, audience, this is your webinar, so get what you want from it. And if you do want to ask Sarah a question, I'll field that for you. And I promise that every single question that gets asked will be answered before we get on with the rest of our days today. So I'm going to start the conversation, Sarah, if we may, and ideally hear from you more than me would be good. So there's this thing called Dayforce Wallet. So first of all, how do employees benefit from it? But also maybe start with, what is it?
What is it? I'm so excited to talk to you all about Dayforce Wallet today. We've just launched it in the UK this week, and it's already live in North America, so US and Canada. So Dayforce Wallet is essentially our version of on-demand pay, and it allows employees to essentially work shifts, particularly retail, manufacturing, and then get their pay on demand the day later or an hour later, depending on how you actually set it up. So it just means that you can I think we've traditionally always had this thing where, because technology is driven, this whole sort of monthly pay cycle, and so we work our whole month and then we wait to the end of the month to get paid. And I think things are changing now. Everybody wants something yesterday, instantaneously. We live in this world where we just want things straight away. And so why hasn't payroll sort of evolved with that? And so now that Ceridian have the technology in Dayforce Wallet to allow employees to do that. So like I said, they can work a shift and then the next day they can just get paid.
Yeah, we certainly live in that instant gratification world, don't we? Where, now is a key currency as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you say it's just literally launched this week?
In the UK, yeah. So we've got charter customers, and then we have quite a few customers live already in the US and Canada. So yeah, just literally launched this week. We had our global conference, Insights conference in Vegas last week. I didn't go to Vegas, but lots of my colleagues did, and it was an official announcement last week that it's now here, and it's in the UK, and we've got lots of customers who are eager to get it trialed. So it's out there.
I'm sure everybody had fun in Vegas. I've only ever been once, and I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I always said the best thing about Vegas for me was actually leaving it. So it was like a box. It was a box tick for me rather than an experience I particularly enjoyed. But so in my view, you didn't miss out that much. So
okay.
To make you feel better. Leading on from that, then, talking about the drier world of tax and tax obligations. Because it's unavoidable. How are tax obligations managed with those on-demand payouts?
Yeah, let me take a step back and really go through like how it actually works. So Ceridian have a real-time payroll calculation engine. So if I work a shift and it calculates the payroll in real time, every time I've worked a day, an hour, swapped to shift, worked some overtime. So as an employee or an employer of somebody who's using Ceridian Dayforce, the system constantly does this calculation in real time. So if I'm the employee and I've worked, say I've earned, I don't know, 3 days worth of, let's just say £100. With the system, if I go basically into the system and say I want to withdraw down that £100, it only shows the employee the monies that they're actually entitled to. So this, every time there's a transaction, the system actually does a real-time calculation. It does all of the gross to net calculation and all of the tax and NI, so it's fully compliant with HMRC, and then it allows you to only withdraw the funds that you've basically earned already.
Okay, got it. We've actually just had a question pop up from someone, actually. Thank you. It doesn't say who they are, it just says anonymous, but thank you, anonymous. It says, is this for shift workers only?
No, not at all, and anyone on the payroll. So it could be weekly paid, monthly paid employees, definitely not shift only, but we have again real-time time management capture in terms of workforce management. And so because it's one single database and one single solution, one single people platform, it links the two together. So there's no further integration. So you do your shift work, or you pro rata your salary. So if I've worked 3 weeks of the month, we talk about a salaried employee. If I've worked 3 weeks of the month and I've earned, I don't know, £3,000, I'm just making it up, and I want to withdraw some cash, then I can just go ahead and like you say, again, it does the gross net calculation, and then you can just withdraw the funds that you already pro ratally owed. So
okay, thank you, audience member who sent that question in. If anyone else has any questions to build on that, we're here and ready for you. So please feel free to ask away. I want to move on. I
was just going to say, sorry, then there's you get basically a debit card, essentially the same as you would have a normal debit card, and you can use it to withdraw the cash from cash machine. You can use it to buy products online. It's all has all the 3D secure. It's a MasterCard led partnership, and so yeah, it just works like a normal cash card, as if I'm just using my own debit card, but I'm taking funds directly from my monthly salary. Got it.
Okay, good. Well, hopefully that is a very full answer to that person's question, but as I said, if there's more out there, keep them coming. I'm going to evolve it on to payroll process, if I may. And setting up payments outside of a pay cycle can be famously very manually intensive. How does on-demand pay tackle that issue? Does it?
Yeah. This is the most wonderful thing. There's no additional work for payroll. I mean, I think we can all agree that payroll is complex enough as it is. I think, compliance is constantly changing, government are constantly changing, tax and NI rates, but the whole process is automated. So there's actually no additional work for payroll. And then you get lots of really happy employees, which is, obviously the main aim, right? It's all about retention. And so, yeah, there's no additional work for payroll at all. There's an app that supports this whole, program, and you can see within the app the transactions that you've done. And so you get an on-demand like earnings statement, which details the transactions, but also you get that on the payslip for the normal transactions. And so payroll just do their normal thing. They do their, commit to pay at the end of the pay period. They send, the file to HMRC. They do everything exactly the same. And this is just an overlay, it's on top. And what's even more fantastic is it takes probably about 4 to 5 hours to set up. It's not like a 6-week, we've got to do this big implementation and it's, long and drawn out. It's actually, really easy to set up. It's instantaneous and there's no additional work for payroll whatsoever.
So it's like half a day of setup to yield massive time savings in the future, basically.
Yeah. Not just time saving, but I think it's, it's so important for today. There is obviously the cost of living crisis and people are really struggling to make ends meet. And I think, like I said before, again, traditionally, we've just had to wait to the end of the month because that's what the technology has driven us to have to do. But now that's different. Just this is a prime example. My daughter came to me a couple of days ago and was like, oh, I need football boots for Friday because I have PE and we're doing football this term. This was like on Wednesday, this was last week. And I was like, how am I going to get you football boots by Friday? And it's just those sorts of things that, come up in life that unexpected, and just go and find £100 for some football boots for PE, or maybe not. Maybe I should have gone somewhere else and not paid £100 for football boots for PE. But honestly, things like, groceries, fuel's costing so much money now. And so we're seeing on average like 25 transactions per employee that's using it. So it's almost like, oh, let's just take the kids to McDonald's and just use that to pay for it. I think, because of the cost of living crisis, we did a future of pay survey at Ceridian. And we know that I think it's something like 48% of disposable income is spent within the first 24 hours of being paid, which is like, good. So it's causing stress for people to have to wait to the end of the month, knowing the minute they get paid, they're going to have to pay out half of their wages straight away to, just to survive the month. It's outrageous. Also, a future pay survey showed that an average adult in the UK is over £31,000 in debt per adult. It's such a lot of money. People really are struggling. And I think to be able to offer, financial wellness to your employees for the sake of a setup that takes 5 hours with no additional work to payroll, it's such a exciting time to be launching this. I think it really will support a lot of a lot of employees and a lot of businesses.
So I guess there is a concern, in the payroll HR community, that opening up the potential of employees being unable to budget, particularly you've mentioned the cost of living crisis, it could end up with them being in greater financial difficulty. So what measures could people take to support employees through that and avoid that potential outcome? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like we just said, people really are struggling. And I think, life doesn't really wait. And that's the fundamental truth. And I think if people need money, then they're going to get it some way or another. And whether that be, credit cards or, payday loans.
I think you've frozen there, Sarah.
That we're not really prepared for. On YouGov, 1 in 5 UK employees said that their organisation's just not actually doing enough to help them through their financial well-being. So employees are asking for this. It's something that is needed now, I think, in today's world. Now, I will add that the system allows you to put parameters around we've got to be financially responsible, and it is through education, and we're adding quite a lot to the portal for the future as a way to go to get educated on how to budget better, but you can put parameters around it. So I can only withdraw what I've already earned, so I can't in week 2 go and take my whole salary, so I'm going to have nothing left at the end of the month. And there are parameters you can put on how many transactions that you actually do, and how much you can take at any point in time. So there is a level of responsibility that we can, and support that we can do. But just as an example, if somebody has their bills come out at the 3rd week of the month, because not everybody gets I have every bill coming out first day of the month. That's just the way I've always been. But other people just aren't that organised. And say, if their bills come out week 3 of the month, it just means that they haven't then got to try and worry to the beginning of the month to actually, sort of survive that, really. So it just helps actually, manage that, to be honest.
So it's more of a help than a risk in that sense.
I think it gives you more control over your finances in general. And also there's that whole kind of millionaire payday, isn't there? This whole thing around, we want to be rewarded because we've worked so hard all month, and there are those sort of considered purchases or planned purchases that you want to go and buy. I want to go and buy an Apple Mac, or I want to go and buy this expensive dress, or this beautiful handbag. And so as soon as I get paid, I'm going to go and make that purchase anyway. And I think it just stops that whole kind of like millionaire payday syndrome that some people do really suffer from as well.
It's a reassuring point, I think, on that sense. Yeah, because at first look, people could have concerns like we've just addressed and talked about, but actually I think your answer would probably lay some of those to rest. Bear in mind, please, you are allowed to ask questions if you want to as well. So keep them coming if you have something that you want to ask Sarah whilst we're still live. Evolving this into the recruitment piece, how could organizations leverage this on-demand pay piece to strengthen not only their recruitment model, but also, I guess, encourage retention as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if we take retail as a prime example, I think, it's really difficult to attract talent. We're seeing that, I think, across lots of industries, but retail, specifically. And I think, it's quite hard for, employers to find that great talent. And so how do you stop somebody moving, if we talk about retention for a minute, moving from, employer 1 to employee 2, if they're both being paid, £10, they're both paying £10 an hour, which one actually is more attractive? If you know that you could work your day and then get paid the next day for the day that you've just done. I mean, we see it with Christmas temps as well. That's a prime example, where people are working for an organization just for like 6 or 7 weeks over the Christmas period. Like, they're working their shift because they want to go out on the weekend, So I think it's a really, really good tool to actually attract and, retain talent and make you an employer of choice. Because I know which one I would go to work for, Darren. I'm not sure about you, because then I can buy the football boots for my daughter. But I mean, honestly, on a serious note, it makes you more sticky. I think also, we expect to be paid, on time and accurately, right? That's just a given. That's just what we expect. But people are looking for more. They're looking for more reward, and financial reward is just, one of those things that people, generally are looking for. Pay is like the top category of going to work, right? So why should you wait the whole month or the whole week for the money you've earned already? I
can imagine that from a Christmas temp point of view, the attraction of that, being able to get your hands on, your week's wages, in that sort of ready-made format, would be really appealing for recruitment attraction.
Yeah, absolutely. And why is it different to December, where some organisations pay their employees early? I mean, it's the same concept, right? And that helps people. It's Ceridian, it's a fantastic organization. We get paid earlier in December, we get paid a little bit earlier in January as well, because that kind of lag between spending all your wages at the end of December to waiting right through to the end of January is a real struggle for people, especially more so than ever now. And actually, but some people are doing it already. They're paying their employees early in December. So on-demand pay is essentially that, and it's in demand. People want it. So yeah.
I'm old enough to remember brown envelopes being given out at the end of the week with real money inside them as well. So yeah, things have definitely evolved and moved on from those days. A question has just come in. Let me just have a look what that is. Right, this is a big one, so I'm going to read it out verbatim. Thank you, Anonymous. We've got a shy bunch out there today. They're all calling themselves Anonymous, but thank you, whoever you are. I'll read it to you, Sarah. In the long term, what can be the advantages and drawbacks of this approach for large companies? And what is the critical solution issue for small and medium-sized companies? So it's a two-part question. What's the advantages and drawback for a big, large company? And what's the critical solution issue for a small and medium-sized one?
I don't think there's really a difference actually between the size of the organization. I mean, this if you take a large enterprise organization or somebody with a complex complex payroll, they might have more than one payroll. They might have a weekly payroll, a monthly payroll. They may have staff who are out in the field, might be care workers. It could be that you've got people on a factory floor, but then you've got people sort of sitting up in head office as well. It's just automated. That overlays the top of the payroll cycle that's already there. So it doesn't really make a difference in terms of like the size of the organization. I think the long-term benefits from a financial well-being perspective just really speak for themselves, because of all the things that we've talked about, where people really are struggling in today's world. And I think I saw a report a little while ago that said that there's a new wave of people in debt coming through. So it's actually not just low earners that are seeing the problems in having to get through the month. It's actually that sort of middle earner category. It's not even just a low earner category anymore that's struggling. So I think whether it be a large enterprise organization or a much smaller company, because it's compliant with the HMRC and it does just sit on top of the pay period, all you're doing actually is giving your employees the opportunity to have some financial wellness, which links then to obviously less mental health problems and stress, and it just means that they can then work harder for you as an organization.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. And the stress factor involved in all of this subject matter can be significant for team members as well. So I'm sure that in itself, small, medium or large business is ultimately something they would want to negate and reduce at all costs if they could.
Yeah.
What sort of, getting into a bit of a tech side of everything, but what can organizations do to kind of ensure that the tech they're using, workforce technology, everything around the kind of the payroll world can kind of keep up with this increasingly fast, now dynamic world that we live in? Because a lot of people, I would imagine, feel like have legacy systems and very manual systems, and they're probably worried there's a ton of cost involved in upgrading or modernizing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the world is ever changing, and I think technology has to be smart enough to keep up. There's more demand on businesses. I think progress has been made with the adoption of better technology, particularly cloud HCM, global platforms and better payroll engines. But I think there is still really room for improvement. And we did conduct a survey last year, and the top 3 reasons why people evolve their technology. Specifically, one was to deliver better and effective training. So, really upskilling your employees is so important, because if you don't, then they're not giving the best service. I think The second one, that was at 62%, and then employee monitoring employee performance was another one. So really understanding, you know, where your employees are at and really engaging with them. And then the last one, which I think is the most critical, is workforce scheduling. And, you know, we have to be smarter with the way that we use the labour that we've got. You know, labour cost is the biggest number, it's the number one cost for any organisation. And so if you're not using good technology and clever systems to help manage that, then you have a real issue on your hands. I think we do some work within the care sector, and you know, a couple of things. So with the care sector, if you don't get a nurse or a you know, to work a shift, they then have to go to a bank nursing system, which costs double the amount of money. So workforce management is really so important in the care sector. And then we asked them, actually, if you took a shift, would you want pay in the next day for that shift that you worked? Or if you take an extra shift and we can pay you tomorrow, would that make you more likely to work for that organisation than another? And of course, the answer, you know, was yes. And I think, you know, the care sector particularly, and retail, you know, they're the sort of low paid hourly rate you know, employees that this really kind of could be good for. No.
What's clear, Sarah, is your passion and enthusiasm for the system certainly comes across. And, you know, I think Dayforce Wallet sounds amazing. Are you happy for our audience to connect with you on LinkedIn if they had further questions directly?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And then there's the future pay survey that's on the Ceridian.com website as well, which I think is really insightful. It talks a lot about you know, succession planning, and it talks about you know, how important it is to, you know, retain and attract, you know, talent, and how do you put in different strategies to do that. And that's really interesting. But yeah, for sure, absolutely, contact me, it's fine.
Cool. Well, you heard it here first, everybody. Sarah is welcoming your connections on LinkedIn if you have further questions direct, or you want to know more about the Dayforce Wallet system. Also, bear in mind, this session is recorded, so you can obviously watch it back, or you can pass it on to the link on to colleagues and friends alike. That's the way to kill half an hour very quickly. That feels like it whizzed by. Thank you, Sarah, so much. One-to-ones are always much more challenging for people that join us because you've just got to do most of the talking. So you've been fantastic. So thank you so much for your contribution and for Ceridian's ongoing support of the Retail Bulletin. That is a wrap of 2022, would you believe? There are no more Retail Bulletin content in 2022. We've loved having you here since we started the events back in February. Again, thank you to everybody for their loyal support of us. We really appreciate it. And as I said, please do go on to the Retail Bulletin website to check out the very full program for 2023. For now, thank you again, Sarah. And I'm going to say it. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm going to get it out there. So have a great festive season, whatever you're up to. And we'll see you on the other side in 2023. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Aaron.